Bill, thanks so much for the introduction. It's really a pleasure to be back to Monterey. Surprisingly, I'm not talking about the CTBT. I think for the past 8 years I had enough of the CTBT, so I'm enjoying doing other things. And what I want to talk to you about today is Russian-Chinese nuclear deterrence relations and where they're heading and what are the implications for the United States. So I think I have maybe about half an hour, plus minus, for the presentation, and I hope we can have a discussion and be happy to answer your questions. So, oops. Yes. So, when we talk about deterrence relations, nuclear deterrence relations, we usually think about dyads, right? We usually think about two countries: US-Russia, US-China, India-Pakistan, DPRK, United States. But these are traditional dyads, and very little attention, some reason is paid to Russian-Chinese relations. So, on the one hand, I think it's a very important dyad which has an implication on relations within the triangle. I think there are shifts in Russia and China, how they see each other, how they use their nuclear weapons vis-a-vis each other, and how it affects the United States. So, I think what's important is to look in the triangle, relations in the triangle. But before I do that, and before we look at the how Russia and China, if they will deter the United States together, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I call, say, analytical approach, analytical lens or reference points, if you want, for when I talk about deterrence relations. So, what I have on the slide is a typology of nuclear deterrence relations with some examples, and I want to spend maybe 5 minutes to explain what I mean by this typology, what type of relations are out there. It's a very simple table, 2 by 2. And on the one side we have relations that can be adversarial, and those relations will be in the dyad, so between two countries, two adversaries. And the other type is cooperative, so the relations in a triangle, when two countries operate against a third country. And below there are two other types, so these relations can be explicit or they can be implicit. So when we talk about, and let me just talk briefly about each type. So when we talk about the explicitly adversarial relations, I think this is the mostly common relationship type. Nuclear weapons, countries usually acquire them, well, there are different explanations why countries acquire nuclear weapons, but one of them is a security argument, right, that nuclear weapons are there to deter the adversary. And this is the most widely observed relationship, so pretty much all relations that are between countries that acquire nuclear weapons are about deterrence and US-China, US-Russia, India-Pakistan, DPRK, US-India, Pakistan. Here, nuclear weapons are core, therefore core purpose of deterrence, war fighting if deterrence fails, preparedness, targeting nuclear threats, you name it. The second type of relations is the implicit adversarial. These are relations where nuclear weapons do not play core deterrence role. I would say this is more, nuclear weapons play more of a political role, something that supports political independence, strategic independence of countries in their foreign policies. And that's where stakes maybe are not that high between the countries, so you don't really need to introduce nuclear relations, nuclear planning vis-a-vis each other in Russia, Pakistan. There are other issues, there are other ways to manage this relationship, and nuclear weapons are not at the core, but planners do have to take into account the other country, but not the substance of it. But very interesting component, I think, of this relationship is the even relationship between the allies, the countries that are very close. So if we take, for instance, France and the United States, if we use de Gaulle's words about why France needs nuclear weapons, to prevent allies of hugging too tight. So in this regard, nuclear weapons, France is not targeting the United States. The United States is not targeting France. But nuclear weapons are there to assure the strategic independence, to make sure that the countries can don't have us too tight, step back, we're independent. And similar to DPRK in China. DPRK is not issuing threats against China, but the presence of nuclear weapons, the capability, probably something that allows DPRK to have, despite its massive dependence on China, to distance itself. Maybe Israel and the United States would fall in this category as well. But I think when things get more interesting is the relations in the triangle. The most commonly taught triangle, I mean, if the degree of conflict of between countries defines whether relations fall in the explicit or implicit type when it comes to adversarial relations. And probably degree of cooperation defines whether relations are explicit or implicit when we talk about cooperative relations. The most widely described triangle is China, Pakistan versus India. And quite a bit is written on this, but I think there are other triangles. I think there's a very different triangle emerging, India and Israel versus Pakistan. It's not necessarily something that's out in the headlines, but it does influence policy. To a certain extent, Russia, India, China, although this may be more viewed from the Indian side than from the Russian side, and things may be changing. And the extreme, the most thorough, the most comprehensive, explicitly cooperative relationship is this degree of institutionalization. When and I could come up only with one real example here is the United States and UK. They're planning in the context of NATO very close allied relations vis-a-vis Russia. So when I talk about Russian-Chinese relations, I ask you to keep this in mind, because what I want to do is to see, to talk about how Russian-Chinese relations, translations changed over time, where they are now, and at what time and why they would fall into this different categories, different types of relations. One remark to make is that these dyads are not static. So the shifts are possible, and they happen because countries they manage their rivalry, they have different priorities, so it doesn't mean that if you're in one category, it doesn't mean that you will not go into other categories. It's possible to shift the relationship. And there is a range of tools available for this. Beyond general political cooperation, there are very specific tools such as arms control and transparency and confidence building measures that allow countries to much closer and to solve the security dilemma that they're facing. As I mentioned, the dyadic relations, so have elements of cooperation when they're considered in a triangle. So for instance, while Russia and China have their own dyadic relations, and I'll talk about that, they have elements of cooperation when it comes to relations with the US. So when we think about Russian-Chinese relations, these relations have undergone very dramatic changes over the past 70 years. In the 1950s, Soviet Union was the primary China's ally, invested lots of efforts and money, built Chinese infrastructure, economic infrastructure, and a very close relationship. But it didn't last for a long time, and there was a very bitter confrontation between the Soviet Union and China, which lasted for quite a bit of time and had gained a very important nuclear dimension after China acquired its first nuclear test in 1964. And then gradually relations were normalized, Perestroika and thinking, called the Soviet Union, and through the normalization, the strategic partnership was announced in 1997. And from then on, relations have been developing deeper and deeper on various aspects. And I think the post-Crimea environment, post-2014, the word that is used to describe Russian-Chinese relationship and official communication is the comprehensive strategic partnership and coordination. So if the relations between Russia and China changed this way, how have nuclear deterrence relations have changed? Did they change accordingly? How do Russia and China see the utility of nuclear weapons vis-a-vis each other? So what role do nuclear weapons play? So my argument is that Russian-Chinese relationships they shifted from explicit adversarial into implicit adversarial, and now into implicitly cooperative relations with the United States. And I think there's a question, is it possible that the relations will move further to this explicitly cooperative relationship with the United States? So let me talk about this typology, how these relations relate to this. So the period 1964, roughly, since China acquired nuclear weapons, and relations went south way before that. But the nuclear dimension came in 1964 after China acquired nuclear weapons, and I put it roughly until 1985, Advent of Gorbachev and Perestroika. So at this time, nuclear weapons played a crucial role in relations between countries, and they were there for core deterrence purposes, deterring the opponent. And potential for conflict was very high. You all know the 1969, the water clashes at the Tomsk and in eastern Kazakhstan. So it's the first time, I think, when two states with nuclear weapons came in direct conflict with each other. During the conflict, Soviet troops ran these flights, this mock-up flights on Chinese nuclear facilities, sending the signal. And there was some argument, but the Chinese took the threat seriously. Some documents show that Mao wasn't that concerned with that, but the Soviet military planners took the Chinese threat quite seriously, especially later. And there was some discussion at some point on how do you deter China, how do you prevent a head-on Chinese invasion if it comes to that. And the Soviet-Chinese border was very militarized. So at some point there was discussion of a deployment of nuclear mines along the border, so there was a massive invasion. Maybe those mines can be exploded, creating a radiation barrier that would be impenetrable for troops and people. With this, gradually, in Soviet Union, history, right? There was an advent of a new person in the Kremlin, Perestroika, and new thinking. So on massive fronts, not only relations with the West, but the Soviet Union attempted to fix relations also in the East with China. And there were visits, gradually contacts that enabled, that gradually normalized the relationship. What is most important is that Soviet Union ceded at least what China saw as a military advantage in the Far East. Soviet Union enjoyed quite a big conventional superiority over China in the Far East, but it decided that for the sake of improving relations and maybe economically, Soviet Union could not keep up anymore, it cut this advantage. So in the context of the INF Treaty, the entire Russian INF forces, British forces in Asia were removed, and the targets of those missiles were in Asia. China was one of the targets. There are significant force reductions in the Far East and along the border with Mongolia. Up to 50% of the troops were cut. The border was demilitarized. There was agreement signed declaring the Russian-Chinese, Soviet-Chinese border of peace. I think the troops there was an agreement eventually when the troops were withdrawn 100 kilometers away from the border. So this constituted a range of these confidence building measures, exchanges. Tactical nuclear weapons were also part of the agreement withdrawn from the border. So to me, this indicates a transition of this relationship from this explicit adversarial to a new type. In this environment, nuclear weapons starting to play a role in the bigger picture. They're not there just for nuclear threats, so there are more to support strategic independence. There's no open nuclear targets, no open nuclear threats against the country. We're trying to actually move away from the competition in the nuclear domain. After the Soviet Union fell apart, it was very dramatic changes for Russia. It's a new security environment, new countries on the periphery, withdraw the Soviet troops and Russian troops from the former Soviet republics, from Eastern Europe. And this is the time when, in the nuclear field, Russia dropped the no first use pledge that Soviet Union had. There's some argument to what extent it was a believable pledge in the first place and as a part of the Soviet Union, but in 1993 the first Russian military doctrine dropped no first use, and yet a year later, vis-a-vis China, Russia adopted the no first use pledge. So countries signed the declaration on the no first use and the targeting. It happened, the United States and Russia signed the targeting agreement as well, but the first one was with China, I think with the years was 95 and 96. The no first use pledge was reiterated, included in the Friendship Treaty, 2001. So that's the time when Russia tried to solve the remaining border dispute with China and trying to find a way to live with China in Central Asia. China expands and Russia trying to figure out how to live with China. There are other examples of these attempts to institutionalize military-to-military contacts, relations between the countries. For instance, in 2009, there was a governmental agreement on identification about ballistic missile launches between Russia and China. It's something that allows to establish relationships and constituencies also in the militaries that are interested in maintaining a relationship with each other. This is the time in the 90s as well, 2000s, when Russia started conducting joint military exercises with China, maybe initially in the context of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, but Chinese military to a large extent is what kept Russian military industry afloat as well. Russia was supplying quite a bit of weaponry to China, yet not as advanced, for instance, as Russia was supplying to India at that time. So Russia was careful in providing equipment and wasn't selling the most advanced and high-tech things to China in the range of reasons. Intellectual property theft, copying of equipment, but also there were concerns about ultimately where China is heading, where China is a threat. Russia also provided access to China to GLONASS. GLONASS is Russian equivalent of GPS, and now actually Russia and China are exploring the ways to integrate Chinese VADO and Russian GLONASS to make more formal cooperation. So to me, this is when the relationships were consolidated. This is when Russia and China gradually managed to move away from this adversarial relationship where they view each other as a threat. It stays there in the background that they're not particularly trusting each other, but nuclear weapons, their role was really decreased in relations between two countries. And then 2014, Crimea, Eastern Ukraine. So the absolutely new environment for Russia when there are new sanctions are being introduced, when Russia is really feeling the pressure, and there are even considerations and some rumors that Russia may be cut off from SWIFT. So the Western technological Western technologies, the financial institutions, those things are close to Russia. So what does Russia do in this situation? Well, Russia tries to see what are alternatives. And one of the alternatives is China. But China, well, potentially is a threat. So the Russian government conducted a comprehensive assessment of China. Intergovernmental was an interagency process to see all aspects of the Chinese rise and to figure out, okay, if China is rising, is a threat to Russia. And through this assessment, well, the conclusions were that yes, China is rising. There's not much probably Russia can do about certain aspects of China's rise, but it can live with some of the other aspects, and China is not an immediate threat. Relations can be managed, relations can be built, and relations can be much closer between Russia and China than they were before. And what we see in this post-2014 environment, Russia started selling more advanced weaponry to China, something that Russia wasn't selling before. The S-400 surface-to-air missile systems that were supplied to China. The Su-35 fighter jets were supplied to China. Before Russia supplied them only to India. This is the time when Russia and China started discussing joint missile defenses. In the past 3 years, they conducted 2 joint missile defenses exercises, one in China, one in Russia. They improved their interoperability between the militaries. They're sending signal that they're much closer. And if we look at the September, Vostok 2018, this massive exercise, military exercise in the Russian Far East. Well, this was the first time when China was invited in the context, and there was Mongolia's troops were present as well, but it was more of a symbolic token there. Before, as I said, Russia and China conducting military exercises was more in the context of these multilateral institutions, Shanghai Cooperation Organizations. Now this is the exercise where China was invited, and if before the main purpose of the Vostok exercise was its exercise that is there to train to repel aggression, massive aggression in the East, and China in the past was the assumed target of the exercise. So this time China is invited, and it's sending a signal that Russia doesn't view China as a threat anymore. And exercises like this, that's what allows interoperability, it allows Russia and China to familiarize with the hardware that they're using, and increases the confidence between the militaries. So it's a major development. So what it means, I think, for nuclear deterrence or nuclear weapons is that the Russian-Chinese relations, when it comes to nuclear weapons, are transforming, changing from these dyads into three legal dyads: Russia-China, and China-US, Russia-US into a triangle. And this is the time when it's important to consider whether Russia and China can potentially cooperate at least implicitly for now, vis-a-vis the United States. And I think there are examples that it's already happening. January 2017 was widely circulated news reports about road models in Plan 41 ICBMs that were transferred to Heilongjiang province on the border with Russia. It made big stir in the Russian media, Russian social networks. China places nuclear weapons close to Russia. China is a threat. Well, actually, it's not probably. These ICBMs. China has much cheaper options and better options to deter Russia and use INF forces to target Russia. But placing ICBMs on the close Russian border allows China to cover all of it in the United States. At the same time, it makes it more vulnerable to Russian strike, but clearly China is not concerned about that. If we look at the 2018 NPR, well, I think it's a question to ask to what extent US policies are pushing Russia and China's cooperation together closer. So the 2018 NPR talks about the return of the great power competition. Russia and China are singled out there as near peer competitors, and clearly maybe the substance didn't change much from the 2010 NPR, but the language changed, and it's much more adversarial, much more confrontation. I think it will be interesting to see the missile defense review. It's been postponed for many months now, but if in the past the United States said that missile defense does not have Russia and China as a threat, as a target, it will be interesting to see what language is in the argument will come out. And whether Russia and China will be singled out as targets for US missile defense. At the same time, there are limits of cooperation. It's not that Russia and China are running toward each other, and tomorrow you will see joint planning and targeting, and there are limits. And I want to talk about Russia's concerns and Chinese concerns, and look at the implications of the United States. So, on the one hand, Russian-Chinese rapprochement with closer cooperation is natural. Russia and China are interested in the peace of the borders, one of the longest borders in the world, and by not having to concentrate resources, resources there, Russia and China are free to direct resources elsewhere. So they're each other's strategic rear, they're comfortable if there's peace in the world. Russia and China share concerns about US policies, about this approach to multipolar world. They oppose US policies. They undertake joint initiatives on the global stage, in the Security Council. Russia gives us something, China gives us something. They will vote against each other. On disarmament, they can attempt to cooperate and promote prevention of arms race out of space. They drug treaty, which on the prevention of the organizational space, which also have criticism from the US. Arms sales and other technical corporations brings countries closer, and basically now Russia opened its most advanced weaponry technology in China. There's economic complementarity. China needs resources, Russia has plenty. Russia is interested in receiving equipment. Technology, China can provide any financial resources as well, in a situation when Russia is locked out from the Western market. And there's certain political affinity, between the governments in Moscow and Beijing. There's what we call bromance between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, but there's definitely something that drives relations closer as well. I mean, Vladimir Putin and President Xi Jinping meet each other more often than any other heads of states. So in this situation, as I said, nuclear deterrence is no longer central, and nuclear weapons are there as a hedge. At the same time, for Russia and China, the relations, it's a trade-off. It's a balance between seeing the States as a threat and yet monitoring each other's capabilities. So, what are Russia's concerns? Overall, there are different opinions in Russia on China. I mean, they range when Russian experts talk about Chinese nuclear arsenal. The statements range from China's arsenal is complementary and doesn't affect balance between the United States and Russia, to statements like China is a threat and threat of nuclear weapons is the only way to deter, to contain China, which aspires to be global leader. At the same time, when it comes to Chinese modernization, I think most experts recognize, or at least acknowledge, that what drives the modernization is China's attempt to improve second strike capabilities of the United States, given the U.S. deployments of missile defenses and investments in the high precision assets. In this context, the Chinese investment in the strategic submarines and multiple warheads is something that is viewed as a necessary. It's not necessary against Russia. Submarines are not necessary against Russia. China has intermediate missiles that can target Russia. So these things are driven by requirements to target the United States. At the same time, Russian experts, as the American experts note, talk about spring parity. That if Russia and the United States go too low, then China can start from where they are and catch up very fast. So they know that there is a paucity as far as the Chinese nuclear plans are concerned. It's not known how many weapons China has. It's not clear where the nuclear forces are heading. When will China think that, okay, it's enough? Also, what is interesting is that Russian experts, and something that came over the years, initially, I think Russian experts agreed with the US estimates, open source estimates, that China has around 400 weapons, nuclear warheads. But in the past 3-4 years, first the experts and then I think the government officials started saying that, well, actually, maybe we do not agree on the assessment that China has about 400 weapons, that maybe what they have is actually closer to 1,000. I mean, it's hard to understand where these calculations are coming from, where numbers are coming from. I mean, some of the things I saw, they quoted this study done by a professor in Georgetown University, which was reviewed multiple times in the US, including by experts at CNS. But I mean, this is something that is used as a justification. After the New START was negotiated, Russian government is on record saying that, well, the next round of reductions should probably include others. So Russia and United States went as low as they can. Next reduction should include other states, and for Russia, you usually think about US allies in the NATO, France, and the United Kingdom, right? But to that extent, it's actually also about China. China was mentioned specifically. It's not clear about what's happening with the INF Treaty. It's announced the decision to withdraw, has not said that it did not do the official declaration that it will withdraw. But before that, in 2007 and 2008, when it was first talked about possible notification of the INF, I mean, it was driven by Russia. Russia wasn't happy with the INF. China was mentioned explicitly, saying, well, we have China at the border, and China has weapons, we don't. Interestingly, India was mentioned as well. India, Pakistan, I think it required some calls and conversations from the Indian experts in the government saying, well, we're actually much closer, so we should probably shouldn't mention India. So India initially was mentioned, but then it was not. So it's interesting to see the INF Treaty comes to pass. Then will we see Russian deployments in Asia, which would aim at China. China, on its hand, also has its own concerns. This is so sensitive. First, Chinese experts question the credibility of the Russia's non-proliferation stage related to China, given Russia's overall posture in the discussions in the US about Russia's strategy, escalate, and so on. So, even if that's how Russia views the role of nuclear weapons, is credible in the context of China. Russia relies on tactical nuclear weapons. Discussion with Ambassador Antonov earlier. In this context, tactical nuclear weapons, are they really useful in the West, in the Western conflict in Russia's West? Are they more applicable in the East? Chinese experts talked about the installation of Russian early warning radars in Siberia, and if you look at the map, the radars have been constructed, they can cover everything. They look in the east, look at the north, the west, the south, but the radar that is installed in Barnaul is rated towards China, so it's closing the gap there, and it looks in the Chinese territory. And it's logical, country would want to be able to detect targets coming from anywhere. But Chinese experts know that, well, it's actually looking into China. Is China a concern for Russia? Some of the nuclear-capable aircraft models, that when they were first deployed to the Far East, not to the Western theater. And as I mentioned before, before Vostok, the latest edition of the military games, there were questions about the real purpose of Russia's war games in the East. So, who is the country? I mean, there are some reports from 2008 and 2009 when presumably there was use of nuclear weapon scenario during the games in the East, and the excuse and the scenario, the legend that was given that it's Russia's repelling a terrorist attack. It's hard to see why Russia would be needing to use nuclear weapons against terrorists. So what are the implications for the United States? I think it's safe to say that coordination between Russia and China will increase. As I mentioned, there are objective reasons that are driving this, and US policies are driving closer relations. It will increase, but probably, at least barring some major, unthinkable, more adversarial relations between Russia and the United States, China and the US, I don't think it will reach the level of coordination that US and UK are enjoying when it comes to their nuclear planning. But it's very important for the States to consider to what extent that what the United States does, to what extent does it drive Russia and China close. And in this context, is a conflict both with Russia and China at the same time possible? So will be possible the United States will have to face both Russia and China, and what are the targeting requirements given the US force structure what the US has to deter both countries at the same time? Interestingly, I mean, is it possible that there will be a conflict, say, only with China and Russia is neutral? Well, if this is the case, and there are some interesting technical issues related to the use of US forces, if you're launching ICBMs or assets from the continental United States, they'll probably fly, the trajectory will fly over Russia, and given Russia's posture and the detection when warning, can these assets be really used? So will the United States have to rely on strategic submarines or strategic bombers? So how do we get out of the perceptions that worst case scenarios and deterioration of relations further? Well, I think it is crucial to renew the strategic dialogue with Russia. After Crimea, the United States stopped all possible high-level military contacts and diplomatic contacts with Russia, so there's no strategic discussions anymore. I think it's a mistake. Understand the environment in which the US operates, and standing next to a Russian official can be toxic to a US politician. But if you need to be able to talk to each other. And I think what is important also, given what I mentioned, this transformation from dyads into triads, it's important that it's important to try to bridge the dialogue into trilateral dialogue. The US and Russia had a dialogue that should be renewed. US and China do have a regular strategic and economic dialogue. I think they're attempting to talk to China about these issues. There's a range of track 2 dialogues between Russia and the United States, between China and the United States. But there is very little, there is no discussion in the context of the results. I think it's important to see how it can be done in this context. So, just to summarize my argument, I think that the US Russian-Chinese relations have moved from very adversarial relations, where they were targeting each other and for their deterrence purposes. They moved to a more implicit relationship, where the US not playing such an important role. Thanks to this move, this shift that enabled the relations to move further in a triangle between the United States, Russia, and China. At the same time, Russia, China to a certain extent as well, remains concerned about the long-term, especially Russia, about where China heading, what China is more assertive. And in this context, Russia still needs nuclear weapons against China instead of a hedge. And this, for now, places limits on closer cooperation. So I don't think that we will see in the near term relations to be coordinated. But despite this, I think it's important to conduct dialogue and see where's China heading, where's Russia heading, and look at discussions So thank you so much for